Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? Island Metal Forge here, Yamas, and we have video. We've got Transcendental Artist Studios. Sully, y'all know him. Y'all
Everybody,
know him. Good morning, Shane, Trail Dust, Paul, Steven, Tech Ron, Manic, Dog Bones. What up, Bobby? Ben Strickland. Sprinkle Donut Forge. What's up, Donut? How you guys doing?
hey James.
Yeah, so a couple of consider this sort of a test stream kind of idea for what we're pushing for a concept for the video and whatnot. As opposed to hosting on the Discord in the Blacksmiths Church stage where it's audio only and you have to join and raise your hand to speak and all that stuff. We are hosting it in the Impractical Blacksmiths voice chat. And how I'm maintaining the raise your hand to speak sort of thing, so to speak, is when you join, unless you have the permissions, we need to physically unmute you. So if you join into chat, and you have a question that you want to ask in person, in the chat, ask, and we'll unmute you, and
Yeah, just throw up in there. Hey, unmute me. I got something to say.
yeah. So that's how we're going to handle that right now. See how that works. But yeah, thanks.
The stage is handier, but we can't do video on stage, and we just upped our server capabilities this week, so we wanted to try out our new bandwidth.
Yeah, we're slowly working to becoming professional show. And everybody give Sully a big old clappy for boosting the server up to level 2. So, what's up, Wayne? Robert? Eric? What's up? Everybody's still saying, any chance of turning audio up a little bit? Yes, there's always a chance. My audio might be a little bit low due to, you know what? I know what it's that audio issue that I always freaking get, where it randomly bumps it down a couple ticks. Sound settings.
Yeah, because we totally did not do audio level checks before,
Yeah.
missed that.
Device. No, it's not even an audio check. It's in my computer settings. That should be super loud. Yeah. Super loud. Stop it. Slow it down. All right. That should. I feel like I'm too loud.
Like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
I feel like I'm too loud now. I can't talk. I can't shout. I'm going in the red. I gotta. Sorry, guys. There's these stupid sound settings.
Oh, where am I going?
Yeah. Oh man. All right. That should be a little bit better for everybody. I can bump up the desktop audio so y'all can hear Sully a bit better as well. Too loud and gravelly voice. That's just me. That's just me. Yeah. Adam from Asparagus Forge will be in shortly. I have received word from him, and yeah. Oh, Tech, you've got a gas turbine running at full load nearby. I thought you were going to make a comment on, my computer fan. Sorry.
Definitely does not sound like a turbine. Come on now.
All right. That is Asparagus Forge. Let me server unmute him. There he goes. All righty.
Sorry about that. All my drivers on my computer decided to update when I tried to get on about 20 minutes ago.
Of course.
No. Yep.
Of course. right, now I can play with this.
So in other news, Adam, I got my new yesterday, and I got it all updated and ready to rock and roll. The only thing I don't have is the broadcasting equipment. My cousin was supposed to go to storage and pick it up yesterday, but he didn't. So hopefully we'll get that today and get all set up, and I'll have an actual professional setup in a week. So
nice.
I'm pretty stoked.
I'm pretty stoked about that too. I want a professional setup. I'm
Dude,
using.
like on my laptop, like you remember, I mean, previously when I'd get up, we'd get into pre-show at 8:00. If I didn't start turn on my laptop before 8:30, I wasn't going to make it into the stream before the show started. And this one here, I mean, like I hit the power button and I go to walk away because I'm like, well, I've got time to go grab an adult beverage while the computer starts up.
And it's already asking for your login.
I look back and exactly. And then I type in my login, and like a second and a half, and Discord is up and open already and connected. And I'm like, whoo.
Whatever, Keith. I mean, good morning, Keith. Whatever. What's up, Bill Corey?
I have never worked on a computer so fast in my life. It's absolutely amazing.
Because we're stream weavers. Sorry, in the chat, Sprinkled Donut was Streamweaver. I believe you can get the volume right.
Adam, how was your week?
It was actually fairly good right up until the end of it. I got like I was on last week's stream, of course, because I had an extra couple of days off. I got a lot of stuff done, a lot of yard work done. Nothing in the forge, unfortunately, but that's because unfortunately my ute, my truck, has actually been in the shop because I need a new clutch, need new brakes, need uni joints done. So basically, all my drivetrain, I was just getting them, things repaired, preventative maintenance mainly, but the clutch was going, so it was like that needed to be done. And then Friday evening, my partner came home with a rat test and tested positive to COVID. So since Friday, I've kind of been sitting on my thumbs, not being able to do anything because, I've had to be in isolation because I'm, of course, a close contact. So, basically it's just been finishing off gardens and doing a lot of physical labor out on my block because I can't go anywhere and I still don't have my truck back yet. So, basically the ute's still in the workshop, so I've got to wait for them to finish, and then hopefully I'll get that back sometime next week, and I can go back to work.
Sprinkled Donut says he needs to mail you a Chevy, and John Coffey in the house says Yamsy Sully boss says hi. Hi, Deb.
Hi, Deb.
Big hugs.
So are y'all just now getting a wave of COVID there, Adam? I mean, I thought y'all had like 12 cases in the whole country and considered that an outbreak.
So, down south has been a lot. They've had a lot more cases. We're actually just like the rest of the world. We're now opening up and getting back to normal, which means that now I've got to save money so I can come over and meet you all face to face. But no, we've. It's basically it's endemic now. It's become like the flu here as well. It just happened that my partner works at a what you guys would call a gas station. She works at what we call a service station, and obviously she's come into contact with someone that's had it. We think anyway. So once we do the rapid antigen test or a rat test, we went and got a PCR test, which is the one where they stick the probe up your nose. Because the rat tests that we have, or that I've seen, have a tendency of throwing a false positive occasionally. So we got a we got a PCR test as well the next day. So on the Saturday we went and got a PCR test. So basically we're just waiting for the results. So it might not actually be positive, but we have to treat it as positive until we can, get the results back from the other test.
There you go. I kind of like calling it a service station better because you get more than gas there. You get full service.
Exactly.
Right.
And
yeah, I was just kind of curious on that just because, Omicron swept through the States, a few months ago. And, at that point, like 70% of the population was either vaccinated or had it, and so it's just like, well, at this point, that's basically herd immunity. So, yeah, now it's pretty much there's just isolated from there. So,
Uh,
back to business. Of course, we've been business as usual for a while. That's why I'm just fucking. Oh,
See, I also live in the northern part of Australia where we still have a lot of Indigenous Australian Aboriginal communities, and they because they're rural and remote, they can be classified at risk. So here in Northern Territory, we still treat even with cases that are positive, we still do isolation and
oh yeah.
and quarantine just in case. It's only 7 days, but just so it doesn't spread to those more vulnerable communities.
now,
Yeah,
so
I was lucky when I got it. I was in a bad spot for 2 days, and that's it. Third day, back to work.
yeah.
That's it.
So sidestep. While we're still on.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways,
Before we get to any topics, I'm kind of proud of myself. So y'all, if y'all remember about a year, 2, 3 ago, I'm getting old. So in the past, there was a run on McDonald's Szechuan sauces, and people were buying and selling packets of Szechuan sauce from McDonald's for like $10,000.
what?
Yeah, I got a bag of them. I didn't pay $10,000 a packet, but
Did you get those as a FNFT, a fungible token?
No, I raided my local McDonald's. Give me all your Szechuan sauce.
Oh, hey Adam, you really Speargrass Forge, the whole pirate thing. The U.S. is issuing letters of marque again for the first time since like 1821. So it's now a thing to be a privateer.
Hang on, should I dare I ask who's the target or what nations are the?
Any Russian vessel, any privately owned Russian vessel.
Oh wow! Okay. And that's not going to blow up anyone's faces anytime soon, is it?
Speaking of pirates, and if we're talking pirate news,
So I looked into it, and in order to get a letter of marque, you have to put up a bond equal to the value of the target you intend to acquire.
huh?
Which I don't know. That seemed weird, but okay.
Speaking,
I'm out. There's no way I can put up a $34 million bond, which would be 10%, $340,000 is what I would have to stake to as like insurance. So yeah.
Speaking of pirate news, exciting stuff for all you swashbucklers out there. MIT is offering pirate courses, and this is legit. You can look it up. You can take a course and you can get like a pirate certification, is where you would be considered a pirate. It includes fencing, sailing, fencing, hand-to-hand combat, marksmanship, and something else, and I can't remember. You take those courses, and through MIT, you are a pirate. Yarg. True stuff.
That's absolutely
the other one.
That's absolutely fascinating.
It is. Pirates, yarg.
Yeah, and I was just sitting here yesterday, talking to somebody, and I was talking to my daughter, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, how cool it would be to get a letter of marque." And I was like, "Aw." Because, if you get a letter of marque, you're officially a pirate. A legally, nationally recognized pirate.
I follow the pirate code. I've got my pieces of
apparently that's a rich man.
All right.
So, Adam, have anything for us on our subject matter of the week?
I do. If we're all ready, I have a short presentation I can give you.
All right.
Are we all ready to move over into the tool of the week?
Tool of the week. Yamez is the tool of the week.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. If you have a visual presentations, Adam, you can share the stuff.
I don't have any visuals.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't have any visuals today, so I'll leave that to you. Basically, just tool of the week is grinders. So basically, you can bring up anything on grinders, and will be sweet. So grinders have been around for a very long time. Over the many years, over basically the centuries, different types of grinders and grinding machines have developed. How many are there? Well, it depends on what you define as an angle grinder. So we do have, I will run over about 6 different types. And of those 6 different types, there are actually 3 subcategories for each. So first of all, keep in mind that each grinder might look a little different from another, even if they're the same type, ranging from small handheld models to large industrial ones. Today we'll discuss the 6 different types that you generally find to cut and grind materials. So the first one, of course, everyone is ubiquitous with is angle grinders. So generally known as angle grinders, right angle grinders, sine grinders, or disc grinders. These are the most popular and common type of grinder. With a wide array of uses, these generally feature a wheel at a right angle to the handle shaft of the tool, and this handheld power tool is often used in fabrication and construction work. Their versatility includes the ability to use them with many different types of attachments and cutters, and they can range in size from as little as a 4-inch right up to 9 to 15-inch disc size for the cutters. Now, with that, we also have in angle grinders, we generally also have 3 different subcategories. So we have a portable or cordless angle grinder. You generally got a corded grinder or an air-powered grinder or pneumatic grinder. So these are also experience. You can get these among all the other types of grinders as well, with in varying commonalities, but it also depends on the use. So, for example, if you generally working in a shop like most of us would, having a quarter grinder generally gives you a little bit more reliability, as long as you, of course, pay attention to where the cord is. Whereas an a battery operated angle grinder would be something generally good for if you don't have access to regular mains power. Now, the second type of grinder that we will generally come across is a bench grinder. So these are stationary machines typically attached or bolted down to a workbench or table. These feature normally two rotating abrasive wheels of different grain sizes, or with many situations that I've come across, we've got one with a stone side, abrasive side, and one with a fabric side used for polishing, for example. I've seen it for use with knives, but of course there's many other varying applications that you can use a polishing wheel for. And so these can be used for grinding down shaping tools that need to be made or repaired. Wire brushes or buffing wheels can also be interchanged with the grinding wheels to clean or polish workpieces, as I just said. So of course, these can be found in corded and generally pneumatic varieties. I've never seen a battery operated bench grinder before, but you never know. If you can build one go ahead.
Oh, I'm sure Ryobi has one.
Well, probably. Now, the next one is something that we many, particularly knife makers in the community, will come across, and that is the belt grinder. So belt grinders are primarily used for processing metals. These can be used for finishing surface, sharpening blades, deburring, stock removal, similar to belt sanders, however, they're generally used for steel. These tools feature an abrasive coated belt that produces a finished surface when the materials are run over it. Now, of course, there are many good YouTube channels out there that discuss the best type of belts to use. There are also different grades of belts. So aluminium oxide or aluminum oxide is generally the cheapest. But they also wear out the fastest, whereas something like your ceramic abrasives generally last longer, but they can be a little bit more expensive to purchase, and there's a little bit of a learning curve with them as well, because they can glaze over if you're not using them correctly. As far as I've been told, I don't have much experience with them as well. Now, again, these you can get. I have heard of belt grinders being made with a pneumatic motor or an air-powered motor. However, that's not very common, and I've never seen one. Again, battery operated, never looked across one. However, you can get small miniature belt grinders, for fine automotive work and stuff like that, which can be pneumatic driven, but they're smaller handheld models. Now, finally, there is abrasive cutting wet grinders. So these are generally what you find for polishing stone floors or tiles and stuff like that. So they're generally big machines, are also classified as grinders. Or they can be a surface type grinder using an abrasive and a cooling lubricant, be it water or some other lubricant, in order to pull the surface that it's working on. Now, generally, these haven't really seen these used in regards to blacksmithing. Most of the time, they are generally a stone, concrete, or tile ceramic machine. Now, again, these can be electric. They can also be pneumatic. I've personally used a pneumatic version of these polishing floors. Simply because, particularly when you mix water and electricity, it's not generally a fun thing to be around. So, particularly when you're doing wet grinding, pneumatics generally preferred. So, this is basically it. So there's numerous types and size of all these different grinders. And finally, the last one is a die grinder. So these are generally small, handheld, high-speed rotary tools for sharpening and polishing that feature a small diameter grinding bit. These tools can be used for grinding, sanding, honing, polishing, or machining material. Die grinders are available in straight and right-angled heads, and many are powered by compressed air or small electric motors. And nowadays, you are actually seeing more and more commonly battery operated ones, particularly when it comes to being able to do engraving and stuff like that. Various attachments also allow for die grinders to be used for fabrication, engraving, contouring, and woodworking. So you have to remember that you've got your heavy duty die grinders, which top of my mind example I can think of that Black Bear Forge, John Switzer has. He has a very heavy duty style die grinder, but also your Dremel tools and stuff like that also classified as die grinders. So again, you can get them in electric, pneumatic powered, and we're also starting to look now with motors getting smaller and more powerful battery operated ones. So so that's basically it. When it comes to grinders, there are a lot of different varieties. Again, it's a matter of job tool for the job. I personally own 3 angle grinders. Two small 4-inch angle grinders, which are both what you guys would classify as Harbor Freight angle grinders. We call them, there's a brand here called a Zito, which is a cheap and nasty one that you can get from the local hardware store. And for what I do, I'm not hanging off them every day, and they're not using them as industrial tools. And these have lasted several years with me. And I've also got a large 9-inch ankle grinder, which featured in my making tiny videos. So and I also own a Dremel, or a knockoff Dremel type thing. I eventually will be buying a belt grinder. Of course, you've got to use the tool for the work. So, is there anything else that anyone wants to add?
Well, I want to hit the comments real quick because a lot of good ones came in, and then we'll get to Sully and then me. Grinders will devour you. They want to. They actively try to, and we'll get into that. They cut fingers very quickly. The most dangerous attachment to a grinder is a hasty blacksmith. Take 2 seconds to double check everything before using any tool. Aaron brought up the Dremel categories, which we got into. What's up, Michael Robertson? Keith whatever from Triforge asks if it would be better to build a belt grinder or just go buy one. We'll get into that as well. Sprinkled Donut brings up something that I think Sully was chuckling about. A wire knot, disc, or cup increases your chances of a Hulk-style shirt removal 300%. Again, we'll get into that. Hi, Paul. One of my Donut goes. One of my Makita angle grinders has an adjustable speed control. Suits wire cut better than a porcupine effect. Lots of grinders. And then Ben Strickland brings up the Great Fallen Beard. That would be Steve, commonly known as Steve, who ripped off half his beard.
I remember when he posted that. That was painful to look at.
Yeah, and then is there a difference between woodworking belt grinder and metalworking belt grinder? All right, so that's the comments in YouTube. And we'll address those. Sully, I know you're excited.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so profanity warning. I'm going to give you 10 seconds. If you don't want to hear what I'm going to... You got 10 seconds to mute your audio. When I put the grinder down, you can turn it back on. So this is a wire cup wheel, and it's probably the meanest thing you use in the blacksmith shop. And now, raise your hand if you've ever been properly fucked up by one of these. Right here. These are just nasty. Not only do they fires at you and you're sitting here picking them out and you're like, oh, ow, oh. You're picking them out of you. I mean, like when it hit, skipped, walked right up the thing I was working on and just like took my thumb down to the bone. And I was like, oh, that's going to leave a mark. And then I stopped videoing and 45 minutes trying to myself up before I could start doing it. And if you want to check that out, that's on the, what is that? Cube Challenge Squared. My second go at it. But that's really the only time the wire wheel has got me. I've only ever had one cutting disc explode on me. I mean, I've had them like chip and fragment off. But when I was cutting the titanium for that carbon fiber titanium buoy, I got a little too aggressive with it, and that wheel just titanium started flopping because it's only like 0.2 millimeters thick, and that sucker came apart just, oof, and I was just like standing there holding it like, oh, I hope I'm not about to die. And the first thing I did was look down to make sure there were no pieces sticking out, and I had a guard on it, so I lucked out. And of course, none of us can forget the North Country Forge encounter where he was just grinding away and just had to get too close to his beard, and he was right all the way up there. The angle grinder was hanging off of his face, stuck in there, and it ripped out a lot of beard. And it actually burned up the motor. In case didn't know, it stopping and bogging it down, it burned it up. It was no good. He had to buy a new one. And
on that note,
go ahead. I'm
gonna say,
winding it down.
Yep. Okay. So what you're actually saying there, Sully, is actually a good point to tie into what Donut was saying about variable speed grinders. Generally, if you look at the spec for a wire brush or a wire cup, they generally have a recommended speed. So a recommended speed of operation that will be on the box or something like that. So you should always check the speed. If you can get a variable speed grinder, then of course that's a good thing to use. If not, make sure that the actual cup speed, or the speed of the RPMs, matches the speed that your grinder works at. It will be less dangerous, less likely to fly apart, less likely to cause serious injuries. Also, when you're using a wire wheel, and many of us are guilty of not doing this. It's got the handle on the side for safety. Use it.
Yeah.
We're all guilty of one-handing grinders all the time. I know I'm guilty of it as well. But particularly with a wire wheel, everyone, you hear Sam say, you hear Roy say it. They're grabby flingers. Those wire wheels like to grab hold of things and throw things across the room, whether it's on a mounted bench grinder or your angle grinder. They like to grab and throw things, and like in that little video, and like you were saying, Sully, where it just grabbed hold and took a bite out of your thumb. They grab hold of things like that in a second.
Yeah.
Now, also when it comes to,
Which, by the way, if I may,
that.
I was just playing that video clip in the, yeah. So everybody saw
that same grinder the next day got wrapped up in Jeremiah Champ's shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, just like we were on rounds, and he sent a picture of like,
and it was an Island Metal Forge shirt too.
Yep, sure was. Oh, I was going to mention just real quick. So right here on the back of the cup, it says max RPM 05, and right here on the side of the angle grinder on this one, it says 11,000 RPM. So I'm 1,500 RPM underneath the max for this wire cup. and they vary. I mean, like, anywhere from 9,500 up to 13,000. And I've seen, I don't know. I've never actually even noticed the speed on the cup before. I just put one on and go with it, and cross my fingers that not too many.
Yeah.
Also talking about exploding discs before. Now, I've used angle grinders throughout my careers, doing various things, and the most valuable thing I was ever taught was from my mentor, Reg, when I first started blacksmithing, and that is those cutting discs that you put on an angle grinder are abrasive cutting discs. You don't need to
hammer into it.
You don't need to bear down on them. That they will cut. All you got to do is guide the line that you're cutting in, and it will let the tool do the work.
Even pressure.
The more pressure you put on there, the more likely it's going to shatter. So if you just let the tool do the work, keep that even pressure, light pressure, let the tool do the work, let the abrasive disc cut. Sometimes you will you might go through a disc or two more. Personally, I like to use what's called stainless steel discs, which are generally really, really thin. They're specialized for cutting stainless steel. I find that they cut regular carbon steel and regular steel a lot better than the thicker discs, your general mild steel disc. But yeah, so and also make sure that you keep if you're using an angle grinder, you keep your angle grinder perpendicular to what you're cutting, because any twisting and torquing exacerbates the risk of shattering a disc.
Yeah.
So that's just and always keep your guards on. So that's just a couple of safety tips from me, from my experience.
Now, firstly, I'd like to say, what up? Welcome, Robert Lonis, our very first channel member, of which we have two. We have Robert Lonis and Sully are the channel members.
Huzzah!
Huzzah indeed. And on the subject of exploding discs, I use angle grinders a lot. Okay. I have never, ever had a disc explode on me. The only broken discs I've had is my own fault, where I'm done with it and I set it down or set it on my vice table and I'm working, and then it falls down and I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to take that one off and throw it away. I have never had an exploding disc because I learned very early on, let the tool do the work. You don't necessarily go a lot faster by going like bearing down on it. You just let the tool do the work. It's what it's there for. Okay, you're already going a lot faster than a hacksaw. What do you want out of it? So, what up, Roy? Other people have hopped in too. Mr. Maker, Granddad's Forge, how you doing?
And just right quick too, like Adam has mentioned, he has I think three small angle grinders, and I mean the Harbor Freight ones are so cheap. I've got this one I got at Harbor Freight, the one I've been demonstrating with. It's a Bauer, so it's not the cheap one, and it's not even the next one up. It's the third step up.
It's not the Hercules top.
Yeah, it's not the Central Machinery, and it's not the Chicago Pneumatic or whatever.
Chicago Electric.
Okay, so it's neither one of those, and it's the next one up. And then at the house, I've got a Makita, and then I've got 8 of the cheap ones, the ones that are like $9 or something like that. And every one of them's got a different wheel on it. You know, one's got the wire brush, one's got the knotted wire brush, one's got the wire cup, one's got a cutting wheel, a grinding wheel, on and on. That I mean, that way I just never change out the wheels till I have to replace one. Or, you know what I mean? So I mean, it's just they all sit on a rack facing up, and I just grab the one I need, plug it in, switch it out when I need to. It's just easier to set the grinder on the shelf, grab the one right now, and plug it in, as it is to go try to find your spanner and pull the thing off and get
Yes.
I mean, for the money, and I've had those things. I've had them for 3 years. I've only ever burned. The bearings. It's gone, and about a year ago, the bearings went out, and it was chattery as all get out, and the wheel was all. And I was like, nope. And I just walked over to the dumpster, went and bought another one.
Yeah.
Now to address the question earlier about belt.
Yeah, I was going to say let's switch to belt grinders.
Yep.
You know.
So they are a different thing. Generally, belt grinders have a more powerful motor and are variable speed. Most of the time, belt sanders won't be variable speed. They just run a slower RPM, and they also have a weaker motor. Can you use them for metalwork? Yes, you can. You just got to bear in mind that you're going to be able to basically stop the belt with a piece of steel, or if you can't stop the belt, the effects of the belt sander on your steel aren't going to be as fast as you using a belt grinder. Now, again, you can get varying quality of belts and stuff like that. Everyone, you see it, particularly in the US, you guys see it a lot more commonly than here in Australia, but are using a 1x30 belt sander that you generally use for woodwork. You can get it from Harbor Freight or Lowe's or whatever. That is a great first step into belt grinding or belt sanding avenues. I also saw someone in the chat ask about building versus buying one. Now that also depends on what you want. Now, Alex Steele sells his 2x72. That's actually made by Gamico. It's made by it's not made by Gamico, but it's made by a company that sells to Gamico, which is an Australian company. So those belt grinders are actually Australian, and they're absolutely the Shopmate 72. They're absolutely great belt grinders, and by all means, if you can afford to get one, get one. However, when it comes to built versus bought, it really comes down to your ability. If you trust your ability to weld and you can get the designs and stuff like that, there are some great forums, not only in blacksmithing websites, but there's whole dedicated groups of people that just like building machines like belt grinders. I'm on a group on Facebook which is Home Built Belt Grinders International, and it's all people all over the world that just like building belt grinders for their home workshops, not just for blacksmithing but for all types of different metal work. And there's some great designs on there. So if you trust your ability to be able to build like something like that and it hold up, and you can get the tolerances that are generally required for home built belt grinders, go ahead and do it. It will save save you a bit of money. However, if you are kind of like me and you could do it, on that same note, you prefer to spend the money for a good quality, also for that warranty side of things, and you don't think your tolerances might be tight enough to get that top notch ability done, then by all means purchase one. However, do your shopping around. Even here in Australia, there are 3 companies that produce belt grinders. I'm looking at one at the moment off the back of recommendations that I've got from friends of mine. Maybe not as versatile as the Shopmate 72, which of course again is the Gamaco one, or the one that Alex Steele sells, because there's a whole variety of attachments to that, and it's a very bog standard design. But the one I'm looking at still has a variable speed motor, which means I can slow it down for woodwork, or I can speed it up for steel work. But it's a little bit less adaptable to a lot of different needs. So like I said, do your shopping around, or if you like to build one, there are a variety of different plans, from ones that you can just bolt together all the way through to super complex ones that you can turn on your side and
The tilt.
build with tilt ones, and ones that you can build with treadmill motors and all different sorts. So have a look around. It's a rabbit hole all on its own.
Yeah, I will say, I saw somebody mentioning the belts too. My belt grinder stuff. First one I had was something that one of my guild mates gave me that he had built, and that thing was, janky as it can be. Oh man, to adjust the tension, there's a big old lever on it that, using a fulcrum lifts, moves the motor around, and you can never get it set right because it basically just, I've had many belts go running across the shop because it slips down from the vibration, and it loosens, and it just goes whoop 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 whoop. It's like, whoa, get back here. And then if you're using a belt grinder or a belt sander, wear a hat of some sort. Because when them belts go, it goes flap right in your face. Right on, it goes flap. And it's not
with
fun.
Belt grinders. Also, remember with belt grinders and belt sanders, the belts are consumables, as are the bearings and the rollers. You will and depending on what type you've got, either the gas strut or the springs. Your gas strut and springs will wear out, so will your bearings, and so will your rollers eventually. It won't happen as quickly as your belts, of course, but they will wear out. So when you start to feel them go, when you start to get get those funny noises and stuff like that, replace them. It is safer and easier to replace them than have them go bang on you when you're trying to do something at full RPM. Those things are moving at thousands of feet per minute, and if they go bang in your face, it's not going to be a good time.
Yeah, Keith, I'll get one sec, Sully. Yeah, Keith, bench grinders, no one be-all, end-all solution. A bench grinder is not a belt grinder. A belt grinder is not a bench grinder. And neither of those is a cutoff disc. It's like, I have a grinder, I set up in my shop, a grinder station, where at far end is the belt grinder, then it's a bench grinder, then it's another bench grinder, and I got, that. Then my big bench grinder has got a stone wheel, polishing wheel, and my small one has a fine polishing stone and a wire wheel. And I've got one more to set up that I don't know what I'm going to put on it yet. Maybe a cutting disc so I can just go. Go ahead, Sully.
Some of us are not cool enough to have a some of us are still rocking a 1x30 4 years in. And I was on, I think, different websites, whatever, and I actually buy the good belts, not just the belts you can get at Harbor Freight or Lowe's or whatever. So I was sitting there one day hogging off some material as best you can hog off material on a 1x30. The 36 grit ceramic belt. And I mean, compared to what I was used to, I was getting her. But this thing had been it been through its paces a little bit. I think it was on its third hammer or something like that, doing a rough grind. And I pushed just a little bit too hard. That belt snapped, and it just came over the top. It's a 1x30. It's not going to hit you in the head, but that 36 grit ceramic belt hit me on the back of the hand, and it's just like, stop that!
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just like, what? I mean, just like it just like took the skin off right across the. Note to self: don't.
Yes.
Even a 1x30.
Yeah. Even a small tool can hurt. You know, like they always go, size doesn't matter. It doesn't. You know, a small tool can hurt you. Yes, Keith, that is why professional blacksmiths typically have a separate room for grinding, not only for the various different types of grinders, but also grinders of all types throw off debris, sparks, impurities. Also, they make a mess. And if you have the ability to have a separate grinding room, it'll help keep your whole shop clean. There is grinding dust all over my entire garage. And there is coal soot all over my entire garage. I have plans to build separate rooms eventually when material goes down. Yeah, Robert, it's not fun to get a 2x7 a 2-inch slap to the head. It's not fun.
James brought up a very good point. The grinding dust, or be it steel shavings or whatnot, is flammable. I have seen a fire start from the shavings at the bottom of a grinder. So it's just like steel wool. Steel wool can start a fire, so can grinding shavings. So and that's if you're only just using steel. Even if you're not cross grinding and cross contaminating with wood or whatever on your grinders. So again, that's having a grinding room is often a very good thing because it keeps everything contained, and you can go through and clean up that one area as opposed to trying to clean up across the whole of your shop. But yeah, so that's a very good point there, Donut, in the sense that your grinding stuff can be flammable. Guys, make sure you clean up after your grinding, and make sure you're keeping if you can have a bucket of water or some sort of container underneath your grinder in order to catch those sparks, so they don't start a fire in your shop, but also to extinguishes anything that goes into that bucket.
Yes. Morning, Boar. Yeah, I had to toss the GIF of Roy shaving up in the chat. That is always worth a fun one.
Hands up who actually watched that video on why Roy shaved.
I heard the reason. I did not watch the video.
I watched the video, and it was because he's been grinding and polishing on copper for so long. Mm-hmm. He's developed an allergy to copper.
Oh yeah,
because he wasn't using the proper PPE. So again, guys, use PPE when grinding because hey, I don't know about you, Yamas, about how many times I've been using an angle grinder or whatnot, or been grinding on a bench grinder, and then I've gone to blow my nose later on that day, and it's full of black or sparkly stuff because all the dust that comes off when you're grinding. So if you can, use a mask, and of course always use eye protection. But if you can, do.
Yeah. I don't work with copper enough. But yet, yeah, I definitely have to up my PPE game as far as inhalants and such work. I have
Inhalant. What are you huffing? Yeah, what are you talking?
Huffing whatever's in my shop. I typically don't wear a mask when I'm grinding or nothing. Which I need to. I have it's the same reason I don't scuba dive a lot, is I I've got a breathing issue. If you all notice, you hear me a lot. That's, a breathing issue that I have, and so having something covering my face and breathing through something, whether it's a scuba mask or even just eyes and nose snorkel mask, anything kind of covering my nose, I get all sorts of screwed up.
Dang neurodivergent people.
Huh?
I said, you neurodivergent people.
Yeah. But, yeah, Trail Dust brought up something, Roy should have done to keep his beard. Is put a fishbowl over his head.
You can actually buy positive pressure face masks with respirators as PPE that are designed to be a full helmet that actually cover the neck as opposed to just seal around the face, so that you can actually still keep your beard. Yeah, they're good for grinding. I know they exist because I used to work in the mines, and they're good for grinding and for dust particulates. But unfortunately, there's certain for example, the rescue mob at the mine weren't able to use them because they didn't provide a good enough seal for gas situations, which you can happen on a mine. So that's why they couldn't use them. But we had to do a whole thing, so you can actually get them. They're a little bit more expensive, but so you can keep if your beard is worth that much to you, then you can keep it, and it seals around the neck as opposed to just sealing around the face.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd be much more inclined to shave this part of my beard than this part of my beard. But yeah, I mean that goes into respirator and whatnot, PPE, which is a whole nother topic. And I'm sure we have that on the docket for some point.
It's on the list.
Yeah.
The list is 47 long, and we talked by 7 of them so far.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, on the tool of the week topic, I know I need to get me a Dremel, and learn how to properly use it, with all their different attachments, because I use for like for example, when I make a hammer, the hammerhead, you got to bevel the eye for where it goes onto the handle. And I do that with a hand file. So I'd love to get a Dremel. But yeah, hey, Mr. Pekka.
In that case,
nice.
Yeah.
You're probably better off getting spending a little bit more on getting an actual heavier duty die grinder as opposed to a Dremel. Simply because if you're working with hammers and stuff like that, it's going to be you're working a little bit heavier duty.
Well,
whereas Dremels are generally a little bit lighter duty.
Well, to be fair,
to be fair,
a good high quality Dremel brand tool is strong enough to do the little bit of stock removal for around the eye of a hammer, while also being light duty enough to do some basic engraving style. Not engraving. Engraving is what Roy does, but scratching the surface of metal to make pretty pictures, and small cutoff things, and they have that little attachment where it's a pen tool that attaches to it, to where you can get into super tight spaces and all that fun stuff. So I'm a big variable use. If I buy a tool, I prefer it to be something that can be used for several different things to help the efficiency in the shop. As opposed to being like my brother, who spends $4,000 to $7,000 on tools, and it's when he needs a hammer, he pulls out a hammer. It's no, you got your freaking back of your screwdriver right there. Just freaking hammer that staple in. Come on. It's like, you know, but yeah,
Hey,
he's got 6 different drills that do 6 different things. I have 1 drill or 2 drills that do 8 different things. The only
I can
benefit, yeah,
understand I can understand your brother's point of view because I'm kind of the same idea in the sense of a dedicated tool is good at what it does. A multi-tool is generally average at everything.
yeah,
You know, you know what I mean. Like if you want to, if for example, best example is a Leatherman knife. Okay, so it's got a pair of pliers, it's got a file, it's got a knife, all that type of stuff. Now they're okay. It's an okay pair of pliers that's good in a pinch. It's an okay knife. It's an okay file in a pinch and stuff like that. But it's never going to be as good as a pair of pliers, a solid knife, an actual file, all that type of thing. So like, I understand your brothers. Okay, the money might be a bit extensive in spending that much money on individual tools, but I understand your brother's philosophy in the sense of you get a tool that's good for its job, and you probably never have to spend money on that tool again. You know what I mean?
right. Speaking of spending money,
I was going to mention the Dremel that I got, the Dremel brand. It was a Rotozip, so it's got the tile saw attachment, and I mean, because it's a big one. I mean, it's like that big around and like yay long, and it's pretty heavy. But it's got like 4 different collets that go in it, so it will chuck up the little bitty Dremel bit all the way up to like 3/8 inch stuff. I mean,
you know,
it's the only downside. I mean, it's got a powerful motor too. I mean, you're not bogging it down. Um, the only downside is it's not variable speed, and I wish that thing was variable speed. I mean, it's got a switch on the side, just like this angle grinder that just flips up, And when you flip it up, it's 11,000 RPM, all or nothing, baby.
I
And I
do
wish
have
it
2 of
wasn't.
those. I just remembered. I do have 2 Dewalt corded Rotozip style, like what drywallers used to, you know.
Yep.
I do have 2 of those. I could play with that.
That's mainly what I used it for, was for with the tile cutting bit, and because they got those the side cutting bits, so you can just like sink in from the side. You don't have to drill in and go, and you can cut. So I had the drywall saw and the tile saw, and that's really what I used it for. And now all I do is I have a burr that fits a high speed die grinder chucked in there for cleaning out the eye of a hammer. That's the thing I've used it for in like the last 2 years.
Right. I was going to say, speaking of saving or spending money and all that fun stuff, I'd like to break into something before everybody leaves. Yeah. So
Break into song and dance.
yeah, no, the sort of semi possible announcement for later today. I messaged you guys about it earlier in the week. As some of you know, I have been working on upgrading my property's electrical service from 200 amp with 70 amp feed to my garage to a 400 amp service, 200 amps to my garage, 200 amps to my house. And with that, I had to dig a trench from my garage to my house. And I figured, while I'm at it, I might as well get this internet cable from laying on the ground in the middle of my driveway, not literally in the middle of my driveway, but, laying on the ground and running across, and everything, into the trench and done proper. I have underground Cat 6, is what I've been using. It was a costly bit of wire that I spent way back when. And it's been working now fairly decently for the past, 3 years. Well, I put it in the trench, and I cut the end off and ran it through the attic and around and around and around and all the way into the office to go into the main router of the house, and got the ends completed, put my wire tester on it, and everything tested good. My connections were solid, plugged it all in, and it doesn't work. Currently, for the past 3 or 4 days, I have had no internet in my shop at all. I have one more potential fix that I'm going to do after the show today, and hopefully that works. If it doesn't, I have to snip each end of the wire going into the trench, run a couple tests to see if that section of wire is good. If it is, I will be attaching to that. And if it's not, that means that I'm digging another trench and running new wire. Which means I have to buy new wire.
If you had done it, and you could have just run a fish tape through there and pulled a new wire.
I thought about that, but I had direct burial cable, so I didn't think about that. My thinking was, if this has worked fine for 3 years, why not toss it in? And
I had to find a flaw in some.
Yeah, I see. Here's the thing: I had thought about putting some pipe down there. A couple runs of pipe for various things. However, the inspector that we have is kind of a dick, and he was already giving me troubles, and the permit was just for electrical. So if he saw other additional pipes, even if it's just, he's not one to go, oh, it's for the future. If you're going to do it, get the permit for it now and do it now. And, if you're going to do it later, dig the trench and do it later. And it's like, yeah, so he's kind of a dick. And, I was going to run some plumbing pipe down there for water to the shop. I was going to run all sorts of stuff, a pipe in there should I want to do some, fancy 3-way switching from the house to the shop, so that I could be in my room, flip on a light out at the shop, and not part of the permit, so I'm not allowed to do it because of the inspector.
Now, I understand you had to get a permit because of the electrical, right?
Yep.
Putting in a new panel and all that heavy horse stuff. Well, did you pass inspection?
Yeah. Well, I passed the trench inspection. It's still final.
Oh, okay. Well, after the final, dig it up and put in whatever the heck you want because it's not coming back.
Oh, absolutely. If it turns out that I have to change the wire, I am putting in 1 1/4 inch pipe for data cable.
I mean, I'd put in water anyway,
Oh yeah, and water. Well, yeah. So
if water would be awesome in your, and if you're going to just dig that trench back up and throw in some water, you might as well do the Cat 6 at the same time.
Yeah, or if I'm digging it up for the Cat 6, the priority is the Cat 6. Priority is getting internet back in the shop. Now, what this all means for the show, if I cannot get,
now you could also just throw and then run that Cat 6 through just.
So you broke
gel encased up.
You broke up a little bit.
Well, I was going to say just run a piece of conduit so that if you want to run something else through there, you can.
You can't. Yeah, I would probably run a spare conduit anyway, but you can't run line voltage alongside low voltage signal wire. You have to have like 6 inches to 1 foot of separation, otherwise you get a cross. The electromagnetic field from the electrical wires affect the signal.
Right.
Please.
Oh, don't get me started. Charge the new trench to the inspector. Okay, so I dug this trench, and I don't know if I ranted about this before, but frickin' inspectors. We have 4 Caratoke inspectors, and we have been, typically we dig a trench, and then we call for trench inspection. Trench inspection is so that they can come and look at it and say it is deep enough to put wire in it. And you typically don't put wire in it in case they say, no, you need to dig that out a little bit more. And you take a tape measure, go, it's 2 foot, and they go, no, you need to dig it out a little bit more because I say so. And so you don't put the wire in it. And this time, tips, and sometimes we do put the wire in it, because we just don't have time to wait on the inspector, and they understand that, so they're cool with it. They allow us to put the wire in it, and then knowing that if we need to dig it out, we'll pull up that section of wire and dig it out. This inspector, I dug the trench, and it's like I'm doing this all in my free time, so I dug it and went to work, and then got the email, failed inspection, and it's like, why is it not deep enough? No, because there's no wire in it. It's like that's not part of the. So I had to have a re-inspection, put the wire in it, put the pipes in it, and, and then basically be one step away from final before they'd pass me. It's like, but yeah, the inspectors need to be on the same page. If one doesn't want to see wire in the trench, the others don't. Like everybody, we have to know who's inspecting to know how to do it, and it's like that's so stupid. Anyway, point of all this is currently, as of this moment, right now, I do not have internet in my shop. If the fix that I'm planning after the show fixes it, the day will go on as normal. If not, it will either be another couch stream like this, or I could force one of my managers to light their fires. Both of them are like, not me. So we will see what the day brings.
Yeah, if I could do it for my phone, I'd be all.
Yeah.
Even on your phone.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there and let you guys know. Until I get full internet in my shop again, it's going to be a bit funky, schedule wise. And I feel horrible because I also just set up channel memberships last week, and now I'm basically just a talk show again, instead of a forging channel. Yay.
Yay!
Maybe I'll review things or something. I don't know. Review other blacksmiths forging.
So you were talking on the couch the other day.
Oh yeah, talking on the couch with my buds the other day. I need to turn on the freaking air conditioner.
What's next?
What was that?
I said you won't believe what he does next.
Yeah. Holy cow! It's 85 degrees in here. That's what having all my show lights and my computer and everything running, and of course the heating elements for my lizards.
Your lizards are probably in there going.
No, they're loving it. They're sleeping. Yeah, Yama is on the view. Yep, I know how to be a pirate.
Cool.
But yeah. Well, sorry, go ahead. Oh, whoa. It's a stake turner. I love that twist. That material makes such a beautiful pattern.
Can you see the twist? I can't.
Oh,
I can't
absolutely.
see it,
Yeah.
and then this is my first attempt at turning something on a lathe. I mean, like not just cutting it to see what happens, but actually trying to do a pattern and stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I made one for myself. Can you make me this? Can you make me this? Can you make me that? Can you make me that? And tripa forks and tongs and a few stake turners, and this is the first thing.
Nice. Well, you done.
Barbie.
You done did good.
So as it came out pretty good.
Very cool.
And sometimes you have to take that opportunity to make stuff for yourself, don't you, Sully? I mean, if you're always making stuff for someone else, you kind of the passion might drop off a little bit. But if you take a once a month or something like that to make something for yourself. Professional blacksmith accepted, of course, because that's how they make money. Then it helps you keep that love for things going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree. But we wind up being like mechanics. You spend people when you get home, and you just don't want to work on yours.
That's like same thing with electrical. Like I spent all day doing it. That's why it's taken me so long to work on this 400 amp service. I get off work and it's like I don't wanna. I'm tired. I don't feel like freaking bending 4-aught wire today.
was a butcher, and I mean, you could cut. I mean, they were super, super sharp. You know, I mean, just all the time. At the house, you couldn't cut anything we had.
Right. Getting that headache. But yeah, so all right. 11 to anything else on grinders? Of the topic of the generic, because I'll tell you this, guys, grinders is such a broad topic. We will definitely get into more specifics in future shows.
No, I don't really think this is the place to be talking about dating apps. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew I worked out somewhere.
Welcome back, Ted. But yeah, I mean, if anybody has any other questions, we'll ask now or save it for another show. We've reached, yeah. Hey, Chewy. But yeah, so with that, I guess we'll call it. Sully, do you have any final thoughts?
Sure. Today's a time for grinders, and we all get complacent with grinders. Removing the handle. Some people remove the guards, and resist the urge. You don't need to get into a tight space that bad, because when it takes a bite out of you, it takes a bite out of you, and then you're going to spend a half hour to 45 minutes on the low side. Before you can even get back to work. So be safe when you're using your grinding equipment. Be aware of how it can grab a hold of you, and just be cognizant of that. And don't put yourself in a position where this is going to wind up in your shirt or in your beard, or your belt grinder is going to smack you in the or the back of the hand if you got a small one. So be safe out there and get out in your shop, put on your PPE, and have fun.
I'd like to say,
Yeah,
Adam's turn.
I was to say, just remember, guys, that a mediocre go at grinding makes even a terrible welder look good. But thanks for joining us. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. If you'd like to suggest a topic, metal, or tool of the week, you can let us know via email at islandmetalforge@gmail.com or drop it into the hashtag metal of the week on Discord. Links in the description. We go live every week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's Sunday, late Saturday evening or Sunday morning here in Australia. That's on YouTube, and you can join us in the chat, or you can join our live discussion via that same Discord link under the Blacksmith Church. So just to let you know that at the moment it's 11:30 p.m. Australian Central Standard Time on Saturday evening. Check your local time for when to join for your area. To see more of Yamez, you can find him at Island Metal Forge on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. You can find Sully at Transcendental Artist Studios on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And you can find me, Adam, at Speargrass Forge on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And that's about it, guys. And when it comes to grinding, like Sally said, use your guards. Don't take them off. Use your PPE. Stay away from gloves when you're around grinders, of course, because they do like to grab and fling things, and you don't want to grab and fling your hands across the workshop.
Right. Yeah, and click that join button. I now have channel memberships, which gives you access to custom emojis. I will be adding more as I think of them and make them. So fun stuff.
Come on, pitch in. I'm vying to get paid here.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody be safe and cross your fingers and hope that this last-ditch effort fixes my issue for the internet. Because I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to throw down new wire. So, well, much appreciated. Thank you all to the channel members, Robert Lonis and Sully. And that's a short list. I don't yet have enough to put a burn wall up. I will see you all hopefully later. Well, I'll see you guys all later, even if I do a short couch stream to let you guys know the status. I'll see you all later today. So, hearts and health. Y'all have a good one.
Guys, have a wonderful day.